And hi, everyone, and welcome to Amazing Individuals, the show where we break down barriers and celebrate the limitless potential of people with intellectual disabilities by sharing their stories of resilience, achievement, and the power of believing in yourself. Because when we focus on abilities instead of limitation, anything is possible. I am your host, Lisa Noble, and whether you're tuning in on your commute, at the gym, or just kicking back at home, we're glad to have you here. Today, we're excited to welcome Batchelder, and I'm sorry, Robin, if I butchered your last name.
It's
She's
okay.
a Special Olympics athlete and athlete leader from Connecticut.
Mhm.
Robin has not only excelled in various sports, but has also become a strong advocate for athletes with intellectual disabilities. Today, we'll dive into her inspiring journey, her experience, and the impact she is making in her community. So get ready to be inspired because Amazing Individuals is here and it starts right now. So, Robin, welcome to our show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. So, like I said, it's a pleasure to have you here today. To start, could you share a bit of your early life and what inspired you to get involved with Special Olympics?
Sure. So, as Lisa said, my name is Robin Batchelder, and I am an athlete with Special Olympics Connecticut. I thank you both for having me here today. I'm extremely grateful for this opportunity. I currently reside in a very small town in Connecticut. Only population is about 1,600. I live in Terriffill, Connecticut, which is located a little bit north of Hartford. Connecticut. I have a 5-year-old cat named Birdie. I also work part time for Lego Brain Retail, where I stock the shelves and build display models and help the customers. In my spare time, I enjoy having dinner with friends and assembling Lego sets. I'm a graduate of the Riverview School in East Sandwich, Massachusetts. I graduated from the Riverview School with high honors. I also received the Presidential Academic Award, which is given to students who excel in their academics. Riverview School is a school for children with learning disabilities and autism. It was a great experience, and I loved my school. I became involved with Special Olympics after being diagnosed with autism at the age of 38. I knew that I had loved to play sports, so I inquired about Special Olympics, and the rest, honestly, is just history.
Well, thank you. Yeah, you got diagnosed late in life,
Very late.
I know, and I did as well. I had a formal diagnosis late in life as well. I mean, we always knew there was something, but they couldn't, kind of pinpoint, what it was until, later. But um, how did that, finally being diagnosed, how did that make you feel? Did that make you feel relieved, or that you can get help, or
Um, Originally, I had a very tough time with my diagnosis, to be upfront with you. It kind of came out of left field. I had been diagnosed with severe social anxiety and learned disabilities as a child. Like, I would be very afraid to go into social situations. And then when I was in them, I would act out due to just being completely overstimulated in situations. So, um, for me, honestly, it was a bit of a gut punch. I wasn't expecting that kind of diagnosis. So yeah, it was, to be upfront, it was definitely tough on me. Definitely tough.
how has it made with being involved in Special Olympics now? How has it um how has it made your life better, or how has it improved your life?
Um, that is a tough question. I think it's improved my life because I think Special Olympics is an organization. It's a very come as you are organization, and we will love you and embrace you as you are. And I had never really experienced that before. I always felt like I had to work both mentally and physically twice as hard just to get by. Which I still have my days where I do. As I said, I work for Lego brand retail, and there are some days, working in corporate America is extremely hard.
Hmm.
I applied for that job just like anybody else did. I earn the same salary as my coworker next to me. So that for me, yeah, it's still, I mean, I'll be 46 next week actually. And so it's still something that I'm trying to get used to. I try to look at it as a superpower. Um, but at times it can be very difficult for me.
I understand that. There's,
Yeah.
all this time, even though I sometimes I still grapple with it, or, I'll
Right.
struggle with something or, and I'll feel like, why am I, what do I have to do to, overcome this or, why do I have to make this extra step? But yeah. So, was there a particular moment or experience that motivated you to become an athlete leader?
So there's kind of a funny story about me becoming an athlete later. But the moment that sticks out in my head the most is I rappelled down Mohegan Sun, which is a casino here in Connecticut with Over the Edge for Special Olympics. My mom was there and she was talking to Debbie Horn about me becoming an athlete leader. I had actually never met Debbie, didn't know who she was, didn't know what she did for Special Olympics. And she encouraged my mother to encourage me to apply to become a global messenger. The very funny thing is I never even thought that I had a single leadership quality. So it's something that I definitely have worked on very, very hard with her in the Special Olympic staff.
That's great. So, I know, for me, it's changed my life tremendously. I mean, being an athlete leader, not just being an athlete, because you get to meet new people, you get new opportunities, but you also get to develop skills that you didn't think you might not have or possess. And it gives you the self-esteem. I don't know if it gave me more self-esteem. I mean,
Right.
encouraged to step out of your comfort zone. I don't know if you felt the same way or not, but
I definitely do. It's definitely built my confidence. Confidence is something that I very much struggle with. Um, and so, being an athlete leader has definitely built some of that confidence. I mean, I feel I'm one of those people that I always know that there's something to work on. And that there's always something, more that I can do, to become the best version of myself.
yeah, I think everybody, there's always something out there that that you have, that you can learn. I mean, it's not like, everybody's perfect.
No,
I think everybody, there's always a chance to change or to better yourself in some way. So
right.
I agree. So, as an athlete leader, how do you advocate for your fellow athletes and support their inclusion in sports and in the community?
So I believe that a huge part of advocacy for me is to talk to another athlete, ask them what they need from me, ask them how I can help them. If they need me to speak on their behalf, I mean, I am absolutely more than happy to. However, I always want to do everything in my power for their own voice to be heard. I at times feel as though being a leader it's my job to help them find their voice, however comfortable they are. And I'll always support inclusion in my community by spreading the work that Special Olympics does daily.
That's a great thing. I try to do that regardless of where I'm at. I mean, I could be like, we could be on vacation. And, if I have a chance to, talk to somebody about inclusion or whatever, that's one of my happiest things. Just like, to show people that, don't assume that this person with Down syndrome can't only works at a can only work at like at a cafeteria or something. It's like you
Correct.
know get to know them and find out what their strengths are because they might be good at computers or something like that. Whatever. So,
Right.
um, in your experience, how does participating in Special Olympics help break down barriers for individuals with intellectual disabilities?
I know from experience that I can pretty much do anything I put my mind to. I drive my own car. I live independently. I have a job that we've talked about in corporate America that I absolutely love. I have financial responsibility. I have the responsibility of taking care of Birdie, who's currently sitting right below me. Um, and, when I was a child, I don't think that my parents thought that any of this would ever be possible. Um, Doctors told my parents that I'd never amount to much, that I'd be depressed and anxious for the rest of my life. I believe in my heart that anyone can be diagnosed with anything. It's what we do with that diagnosis that will make or break us. Even though when I was first diagnosed with autism, it was a bit of a punch in the gut, as we talked about. And I learned with the help of the Special Olympics Connecticut staff and my friends that I have a pretty tough gut. I actually heard once that no stands for next opportunity, and I have defined so many odds over the years that I won't stop now.
Oh, I've never heard that. That's a good way to put, to paraphrase what no means,
Right, next
instead of,
opportunity.
yeah, instead of making
Yeah,
it a negative, to put it,
sure.
with a positive spin on it. I should use that more often. So thank
You're more
um
than happy to take it from whomever I took it from. I'm not quite sure where I heard it, but it's always stuck in my head.
Oh, I understand it. So every journey has its challenges, I mean, not everybody's going to have challenges every once in a while. What are some obstacles you have faced as an athlete or athlete leader or both, and how have you overcome them?
So we talked about me not being diagnosed with autism until I was 38. Some of my biggest obstacles to this day is my mental health. I have been told that I'm too smart for my own good. At times, my mental health has taken over my life. In January, I actually came out publicly as an asexual individual, something that I would have never had the courage to do if it wasn't for the love and support of Special Olympics Connecticut and my friends. I have to remind myself sometimes to breathe, as my friends also do, because I get extremely overwhelmed. When I actually first started Special Olympics, I was very quiet. I was very, very reserved. I had minimal support, and I was very lost emotionally. When I started Special Olympics, I only had a few friends, and now I have more friends than I know what to do with sometimes. Um, and I I have friends now that will fight for me every single day and who love me for my quirks. For the first time in my life, I have people that I can turn to in my bad days. Another obstacle that I face at times is I tend to have the personality of a hurricane. I tend to come over. I subconsciously come into situations um, and take them over. So I have tried really hard to learn to be more observant, and it will help everybody involved. And sometimes I just have to do this by reminding myself just to take a step back, and that I don't always have to take over every situation.
Yeah, sometimes I don't mean to sometimes, but
Yeah,
sometimes I feel myself kind of doing that, and
yeah,
I've had it. Sometimes I still do it, but I tend to try to figure out, take a step back, and
right.
but sometimes it's hard to, because
It's very
yeah,
hard.
yeah. So I get what you're
you know
saying,
but at the end of the day, I think my friends know I mean well, and
hmm
they know where my heart is, and they know kind of how I tick and how I operate, so that gives me a little bit of reassurance that that
Right,
that's just my personality. And it's, you can call it a flaw, you can call it a good thing, call it a bad thing. I mean, it works to my advantage sometimes and works against me sometimes.
right. I totally get that. So, what message do you want to share, with our others in our audience out there about the importance of inclusion in sports?
um so it's inclusion is something that is extremely important to me in my daily life, in my Um, it's something that's very, very important to me. Um, I think that a big thing is that you never know the battle that somebody else is going through, um, or that somebody else is fighting, or even how far a kind word will go. Sometimes I don't think that people understand the value of just simply being kind to others. If you're, the way that I see it is that if you're ever at a crossroad and you're unsure on what to do, I encourage you to take the road of being kind.
Oh, that's the best. I think that's the best advice, is, just to be, I see it too as, be kind and, treat others like you'd want to be treated,
Correct.
So that's the best advice. So, what are your future goals with Special Olympics as an athlete leader, and how do you envision making an even greater impact?
So I think this is a great start. It's
Mm-hmm.
just I'm going to put that out there. I think this is a great start. I would love to be on something like an athlete leadership council. I would love to have more of an impact on a bigger scale of athletes. Leadership, ironically, is not something that ever came naturally to me. It's something that I work on every day. And as I said, I work just to be a better version of myself. I can't be anybody else. At the end of the day, I have to put my own head on the pillow. I can't, put anybody else's on there. I'd love to go to USA Games or World Games as both an athlete and a leader. Um, and I would love to speak on. I'd love to speak on a national level to Special Olympics staff and athletes, or honestly, whoever will listen to my story. I know that my story is unique and powerful, and it needs, and it. I know that my story is unique and powerful, and that it needs to be heard. I've received feedback that have already made an impact on so many athletes in Connecticut and worldwide, and I will continue to make sure that I mentor athletes so that they will continue to be in the spotlight just like I have. I have been told that I inspire others. Yes, this is true. However, I'm more inspired by the athletes every day and that I get to help them live their dreams. For me, being able to empower another athlete is the greatest gift you can give them. I know there hasn't been a day in the past 8 years that I haven't talked to a Special Olympics athlete or staff member. Special Olympics to me not only saved my life, but they saved my future, and I know that my future is bright.
Oh, that's great. And you always, you know, and you had mentioned that you'd want to serve on the Athlete Leadership Council, and however, I can help out with that. If you want
I
to
would love
maybe
that.
get some tips, I would love to do that. And because it's given me more confidences too. So,
Right.
before we end, what you had mentioned that I know that you said you work for Lego. Which one of your favorite sets that you have made?
Oh gosh. I get this question all the time, and it's so hard. Um, my favorite Lego. Gosh, see, I love the modulars. Like
Hmm.
they just put out Tudor Corner. And it's so hard because we have about 100 Lego sets that are coming out on June 1st. So, but yet I can't talk about very many of them. So there's a lot of cool stuff coming up. But I'm definitely a modular kind of person. Like I like the actual bricks as opposed
Hmm.
to um the Technic stuff. The Technic can be hard with sometimes I struggle with fine motor skills. So putting pins and pieces and things
Right.
for me can be very difficult. Um, but if I had to narrow it down in my collection, it probably would be the Home Alone house. It's
Oh yeah.
probably right up there, yeah.
Uh,
And
uh,
I would show it to you if I wasn't afraid of breaking it.
oh, I understand that. Actually, funny
Yeah,
you should say that's your one of your favorite ones is because we live about where we live is it's probably about 15-20 minutes away from where the actual house is. So
that's really cool.
and but to tell you the truth, I don't even think I've even seen it. No, past it. When I've lived here for over 20 years, and
Yeah,
I just haven't had a chance to, but I would love to someday. But
yeah,
yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. Well, Robin, thank you so much for sharing your inspiring story and joining us today, and your commitment to empowering others. And thank you so much too for welcoming myself and Kurt, when we came to Connecticut. And
Of
thank you so much
course,
for
it was a
your
pleasure to meet you.
yeah, and thank you so much for your lovely gift that presented us as well. We really do appreciate it. We're gonna hang it in our office slash guest room, sometime soon. So, before we go, how can listeners follow your journey or get involved with Special Olympics in their communities by you?
So I'm actually in the process of building something on Facebook. I'm in the very beginning stages. So I'm hoping to have that launch sometime in the summer. Kind of, a Facebook group in which you can see my stories and you can see what I've done and you can see, my accomplishments and my speeches. I've been a keynote three times, three times, including LETR conference and our annual awards banquet. Um, and one of my and I just wanted to say this, but one of my greatest accomplishments on a personal level for Special Olympics Connecticut was that I was am the 2025 Eunice Kennedy Shriver Award recipient, which is given to a an athlete that encompasses the spirit of Special Olympics. And I think when you work really really hard, and something like that happens, like it puts it doesn't stink. Like it makes you
Mhm.
feel amazing, and it makes you feel like all of your hard work is finally paid off. And I more or less looked at that award as I was a recipient, to carry the torch for the next year or so in my leadership skills. And um, if anybody ever wanted me to come and speak on a national level or at another state, they can contact Debbie Horn at Special Olympics Connecticut, and she and I talk every week, probably every other day. Um, and she would be able to point you in the right direction, which is something I'd really enjoy doing. Is speaking on a national level and sharing my story.
Well, that's great. So, well, thank you, Debbie. I mean, thank you, Robin, for very much. We know Debbie, and we've had her on our
Yeah,
podcast before, and she's really nice. And but thank you again for, coming on
absolutely.
today. Before we end, I want to express our gratitude to our anonymous donor. With their support helps us continue to share their people's inspiring stories like Robin's here and advocate for individuals with intellectual disabilities. We look forward to bringing you more great episodes. And remember that people with intellectual disabilities can do whatever they want with the right supports. So we'll see you next time on Amazing Individuals.
And I just also very quickly just
Go ahead.
wanted to thank the staff and the athletes of Special Olympics Connecticut, especially the staff. They have kind of taken me under their wing, and I'm grateful for each and every one of them. And I couldn't do what I do and do what I love if it wasn't for each and every one of them. So I wanted to send my sincerest gratitude to the staff, and athletes of Special Olympics Connecticut. I love you guys.
Thank you, Robin.